and put it inside this guy. So here I will just do like this, receiver, and inside this you see that how I have done this. So I will just copy this guy action and put it here. So here is your receiver. Now one receiver I have created called receiver. Receiver is basically a short form of broadcast receiver, and its name is time zone BR. You have to say Android enabled equals to true. This is done so that at some point later, if you want that, I don't want this broadcast receiver to be taken care of, then how do you disable that broadcast receiver? Because you will have to, because once you put the broadcast receiver in manifest file, it always get triggered. So the simplest way to disable it is called enable equals to true or enable equals to false. Now if enable equals to true you do it, then it will work. By default it is false, so be careful about these things. Intent filter is, what it says is that what is the action for which this intent will work. And the most important thing is this category name. By default you should always put category as default, otherwise it will not work again. So now I have registered one receiver with one action. Why don't I register another receiver with another action, and this time the name is, this name is changed, not time zone changed. Now this one is expense BR. It has to be the name of the class. Expense BR true. And this one here I will be, let us give some action called com Isaac dot intent dot expense. Okay. Now com Isaac intent dash expense. So this expense added, we'll call it added, expense added, and this is what pretty much we are interested in. You can put whatever name string you want, but make sure that when you are doing the broadcast you are taking care of it. So once we are done with this, what basically has happened is that I have created two broadcast receiver. I have registered both the broadcast receiver, added action in both the receivers so that they listen. Now the only thing left for me to do is that go and write the code to send the broadcast for expense BR. Now let us go there and do it. And that will do it in expense item activity, because that is where my expenses are added. So what happens is that every time an expense is added, this is here what something we should do. So send broadcast, then that expense has been added. Okay. And here we'll do send broadcast, and we have to put some intent BR intent, broadcast intent, but before that we have to create that intent. So we'll create that intent BR intent equals to new intent, and here we'll give the same action name what we have given in the manifest file. So this is the manifest file action for this one. Okay, so just go and copy this one and put it inside here. Okay. So that is pretty much what it does. So just these two lines will broadcast a intent with an action name com Isaac intent expense added. Now let us run our program and see that what happens. And once we figure out what is going on, we'll see that how both the broadcast receivers are working or not. How we'll figure out the broadcast receivers are working or not? We'll figure out if they are showing in the log file. Let me just see if it has been installed or not by going into the console. Yes, this is today. Okay, and yes, good. We are all good. So let us do this. So what we are going to do is that how do I find out that whether that broadcast receiver has started or not? The best thing is that log file. So what we'll do is that we'll keep watching this log file, because I have put some log statement. If you remember, I have put the log statement in both the broadcast receiver here and this one. So if whenever they get triggered, I will see the log file. I will get something in log file. So let us see that. And we have cleared it. Now let us start. I will go to here and I will say expense. We are getting some activity life cycle messages which we have put in, so don't worry about that. I will say add expense item, and then I will say my favorite burger, and then I will put something like $12, and then I will say add expense. So far there is no message for broadcast receiver, right? That tag is not there. So let us see that. I will say add expense, and it will give a dialog message that do you really want to add more expenses? I would say yes, and that is when the code will trigger the broadcast. So come back to this one. There is nothing here, right? So let me clean up this one and do this. I will say yes, go ahead and see what happened. Broadcast trigger has been done. Okay, and you got the message that expense BR has been triggered by action com Isaac intent expense added. So your broadcast receiver is working. It has been triggered. Okay, so that's exactly what I mean when I say that expense BR has been triggered by action. And that is the way you will see all your broadcast receiver is getting triggered in a very simple way. Now let us try to do another one. You remember the other one? That is time zone change, right? So let us change the time zone of your mobile phone and see if that get triggered as well. So to change the time zone, and this is the reason I am showing you two different, is that one broadcast is happening through your own user application and one broadcast will happen through a system level thing. So time zone change is a Android system level broadcast. So let us see this. So far we have seen only one TA broadcast and there is nothing else. So let me just clear up and then go back to this one, and we'll change here the time zone. Time zone is, where is time zone? Date and time. Okay. Used select time zone. So it is saying automatic. I will just remove it and I will say time zone. So let us change the time zone, and I want to change the time zone to something like Beijing. Okay. So I will say change the time zone, and immediately the moment I change the time zone to China Standard Time, see what happened. A TA broadcast receiver got triggered, time zone BR. It got triggered by intent, Android intent, time zone changed. Okay, so there is a TA broadcast receiver and then TA broadcast. Both are, these log messages are coming from different places, right? Now there is another application which I have created. Now you'll be thinking that where is 2 coming from? I have another application which is called AT, which has another broadcast receiver, and that is interesting, which is also listening for the same time zone change. So there are 2 broadcast receiver which are listening for the time zone. So that's what. But our application has only one broadcast receiver, and that is TA, this one, and that is what it got triggered. So that kinds of explains how to write various kinds of a broadcast receiver, and how to register it into a manifest.xml file and then trigger them for various activity. And that's pretty much what is a broadcast receiver in general means to do it. So here we'll take a break, and we'll see that the next chapter, which is very important, and that is thread, how does it work.